Well, let's jump into it. A lot of stuff went on this week. I guess I'll kind of start at the top with raffle. what a what a degen addicting, amazing tool that a lot of people were like, oh, we're interested in building something like this. But obviously, we beat them to it or what have you, and so they just want to get their token, approved on raffle, which is not a problem. The way that usually works is just reaching out to us, and as long as we have the address for the token, we can get it put into the raffle system. We are going to work on improving the filtering for that because it's going to become a crazy fest of SPL tokens. And it's also worth mentioning after our vote tomorrow ends, I don't know if it's going to be immediately thereafter or by Monday sometime, we're going to put another vote out to gauge the interest from the community in putting Soul as an option for raffle tickets. My general assumption based off of the listings that have been out are that a lot of listings are then going to switch to Soul versus that other SPL token. So we want to gauge the community and make sure that really that the foxes that are part of us are okay with that as an option for folks to put out there. Our initial reasoning for not putting it in there is just to kind of potentially just stay out of a grayer area, if you will, from a legality side. But technically it's still an SPL token. The value varies. You can't prove that it's the same price today as it is when the raffle ends. If you make the raffle longer than a 24-hour period or even an hour period, really, in the industry. So just keep an eye out for that, as that will get pushed again sometime tomorrow night, depending on what your time zone is, or sometime Monday. Let's see here. Den collabs. We did a couple of Den collabs that we pushed out, both for the Integrity DAO as well as Rad Rugs. We mentioned we showed you the information for them beforehand, at least for the most part. But we finally had pushed those out to their addresses, so you can go and check those out in our Den directory, or if you're part of those communities, I'm sure they have links one way or another to get to their dens from their pages. As far as quality of life updates, Ding now supports uploading custom images for Fox holders. So that's just one option that we decided to build in that you wouldn't be able to do unless you have a Fox. I think it's pretty sweet. That way you're not kind of just stuck to using our messaging. You can put your own branding to it. You can really have as much fun as you want with it. And the one thing that I will say is, depending on how much text you put in there, it's primarily going to be in a square format, as are most NFTs, but it can become elongated if you put a lot of text in there. So if you're creating your own image, or if you're using some kind of generic image or an image that you want to put in there, just keep that in mind when you're putting a lot of text to it. And we do also have a message for HTTP parameters for Ding, for devs to direct link messages. So just worth mentioning for those that are interested in utilizing that. As far as our missions went from last week, our collab mission that we did was for DGods. So for anyone that staked a DGod into our platform, on top of the fame as well as the reward chest, you also did get the dust rewards. That was one concern that we had from folks in their community. We wanted to make sure that we did cover that. We did also modify, which I don't remember if we actually mentioned via an announcement, that we changed the amount of fame for that mission, just because Dev basically rugged me on it. Let me just double check. I don't think he did include it in here. We modified it, so I think it was 120 fame when we first launched that mission. And obviously, for anyone that's familiar at all with DGods, their thing is 33.3%. So we bumped it up to 333 fame for that mission. It just made sense because, DGods have, a higher value to them. So it only made sense if you're combining that with a Fox, that the Fox gets essentially the benefit of someone that owns both of those NFTs. So just wanted to throw that out there for anyone that was able to jump into that mission. And it's also kind of a general mindset thing for us to be mindful of in general for future missions, of maybe modifying the theme to be something around, that community versus just the standardized kind of numbers that we've been using for collab missions. So just keep an eye out in future collab missions for different theme. As far as our tools go, we are almost wrapped up with our free Foxy week for tools. So as a general announcement for anyone that's part of our DAO, if you don't mind, there are 3 votes that are currently going on. If vote 1 doesn't pass, 2 and 3 don't matter. I highly suggest taking a few minutes reading through the general proposal there as far as the 3 separate votes that are associated with it. It just really comes down to the future, really, of our tools, if we should keep the charge for them in Foxy as we have traditionally been, or switch it up to be free for holders and free for famous Fox holders, and then some different form of charging for TFFs as well as non-Fox holders. So all the votes are in there. They're in our DAO vote section. If you haven't had a chance yet, please go and do that. That will close tomorrow night. I'll say around this time, I believe, is when I opened it up. So you still have about 24 hours to go in there and vote on it. Very important. So just want to push that out there for Foxes. It's also been going quite well as far as the general usage for tools. It's very interesting to me to see the difference in tools that were being used. Which ones are just. And Foxy Send, I think, had, I believe, if I'm remembering them correctly, because we were looking a little bit at the numbers, and I believe we'll push the numbers out in a better fashion tomorrow. But Foxy Send seemed to have a decent increase compared to the week prior to. Which I think is kind of fun and interesting and makes the most sense. I think a lot of people, not that we charge a lot of Foxy for doing Foxy Send, but I think that's one of the tools that a lot of people find, quite useful in the space of just cleaning up mint wallets, transferring from one wallet to another. It's just a hassle in the space to do them one at a time. So I think that makes the most sense to me. But yeah, keep an eye out for an update on stats from this week, and I believe we'll probably put out the comparison from at least the week prior, and just to get an idea and a gauge on what tools are being used at what frequency. We did also have our Foxy auctions that ended. I believe I mentioned a little bit about it in our last spaces, but as far as the final tallies go, I was quite surprised. The OK Bear went for 1.2 million Foxy, which was a pretty decent deal for that. I'm not sure how many other folks had that much Foxy to kind of compete with them, but that was a pretty solid deal. That actually was one of our better. Actually, I think our best investment that we had done from a DAO raffle auction investment, if you will. I think we purchased it at 84, and by the time the auction was done, I think it was in the 150 range. It might have been a little bit less than that, but it was almost double. So I thought that was pretty awesome. We get 240K Foxy for the Nuke Date, 160K Foxy for Grim Syndicate, 300K Foxy for the Bohemia, and 120K Foxy for the Gecko. So quite a decent amount of Foxy raised for that level of auction. And I want to say that I think that was our largest auction just because the OK Bear, again, had gone up so much in value. I think it was around 200 sold total for floor price of everything, which is pretty awesome. Then we also mentioned chest rewards. So we're adding 2 new rewards. So we have a whitelist spot for tokens. So the way that that's being handled is basically, from the general logistics side, you just have to coordinate with the whitelist seekers, and it'll be limited to 1 spot for a specific whitelist opportunity that's coming up, and it'll be subject to actually having availability for it. So it's just worth mentioning for anyone that decides they want to hoard them or what have you. You can only use like 1 token at a time for one specific whitelist mint. You can't get like 10 or 20 slots for an upcoming mint. It would be limited for that. Then we also have our orange box, which is a pretty fun concept that I think some people had alluded to an idea similar to it. If not the exact same idea. But basically, we added a token in where you can now redeem that token for an NFT that we have on the orange box page. So you can just jump in there, see the NFTs that are active, the ones that we had put in currently. Let's see, I know we put it in here. Include Ed Newt, aka Pesky Penguin, Jambo Mambo. We did a D10 Trash Panda, a Soul Citizens, and a Monkey Reject. So that's just the start. We're gauging that general range of soul per NFT for it. So it should be in that 3 to 6 range, I'll say, is what we're planning on doing when we just, invest in those NFTs. And we try to do NFTs for based off of like our general community and the folks that have, these different kinds of NFTs that already exist in our space, or folks that have been, larger players, or if not, like very supportive of like the token market as well. So it's just helpful to kind of support other communities that support us as well. So really appreciate that, and just keep an eye out. We'll refresh them, as they start getting won. I'll say when we dip down. I don't know if we have a minimum that we've set yet, but if we get to like 1 or 2 remaining, we'll probably refill them. It'll be at a random day, random time. That's just on purpose. People aren't really going to like game the system, but just worth kind of mentioning for it. There's also the FoxyScan website, which was made by a fellow Fox. So if you want to check out the Foxy burn, you can check it out at foxyscan.io/Foxy. It's got some other good info on it as well, which is pretty cool. And the graphs analytics side is pretty awesome. So huge shout out for that. Quite a neat little website that was created. We also currently have our Foxy auction under place for the Resist piece. I don't remember actually the title for the Resist piece, but it started on Thursday. I think the current auction is up to 380K Foxy. So if you're interested, there is a channel underneath the underneath Fox Chat. Yeah, I have a thread open there, but underneath Fox Chat, it's called the Lunatic Fox. Is listed there. So if you want to, you can go ahead and bid on it if you're interested in buying it. But the current minimum bid is 380K. Well, the current bid is 380K. We also started, after we launched Raffle, we started onboarding other tokens. And I know I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but for anyone that is interested in getting your SPL token listed, or if you want a specific one listed, just have the team reach out to us. We just need the token name and the address for it. It's a little bit of a process to get it added, but it's not impossible. And like I had mentioned earlier, we are going to work on improving our filtering system so that way people can search for their tokens a lot quicker, because it's going to become a crazy fest in there, as there's a decent demand in getting additional SPL tokens listed for Raffle. I should also mention, I think let me jump in Raffle real quick. I think our raffle that we had created for that TFF is almost up as well. I think we're pretty close to, I don't know if it's going to take TFF now. Why is that not? Let's see here. Okay, we've got... Yes, we've got 1 day, 15 hours left. There's 201 tickets that remain for that Fox. It's Fox number 2091. That's one of the 2 initial auctions we created. So just a few tickets left on that, but that'll launch in about a day and 15 hours, if I can count or read. But yeah, that was one of the 2 first raffles we put out there. The other one was a den, which I believe we did pretty decent from a Foxy standpoint. We really wanted to put them out there so folks can check them out and utilize the tool, play around with some Foxy, and kind of get get used to it. It's obviously grown to a crazy number of listings that are on there for all different tokens, and it's quite fascinating to see. I'll say the level of degenness. I mean, but realistically, just the level of interest for folks for very valuable NFTs as well, like OK Bears and D Gods Dead Gods. I mean, with floor prices, 200 plus or 180 plus realistically. Um, it's just very interesting for people to kind of raffle them off. I mean, it's a risk to reward thing. I mean, the one thing that's important to note, is right now it's just SPL tokens. So I think it's important, from a research standpoint, to make sure there's a decent enough liquidity that exists for them, and also the marketing angle. Like we kind of put it out there that we aren't really marketing the individual raffles. I mean, that would be borderline impossible for us as a project. We did create a channel that does show up new raffles when they post in our Discord. I believe that's limited to just our DAO. But then, obviously, folks can market theirs however they want to. I think, in other communities in which the XPL tokens that they are using, they're kind of mentioning that if they're able to some capacity. If not, crypto Twitter is a good way of doing it. But yeah, I think it's just very interesting from the general marketing angle for getting more and more eyes on raffle, and then kind of getting more and more raffles created. So it's quite fun. If you haven't had a chance to at least poke in there and play around with it, highly recommend it. And we also had, forgot about that. We also had the Nuke Ape that was won from an auction get put up for raffle. So right now, I think he sold 325 tickets at 1,000 Foxy each. So I think that's almost a 50% profit in Foxy for him so far, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it's pretty neat to see really how much raffles grown in a short period of time, especially in like a more bearish time with a lot of shit going on in the market. So I think it just kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of changed things up a little bit. That I've gotten some decent value from, and I see a lot of people having a good time with it. So definitely curious and interested, to get feedback from the community and raffle. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, what have you, always feel free to like reach out to myself, Dev, post in chat. We're open books here. I think that's one of the best part about Web3 is that you guys have decent access to like founders of projects, and the votes and such that we're doing. I mean, it's bigger for the project as a whole, especially for the future, versus like just you know small suggestions or not even being able to have your voice heard, which is pretty awesome. See, Silver's requested. I'm going to bring you up just to see what you have going on. How's it going there, Silver?
Yo, what up, Drax? Hey, question for you. So, since a
Yep.
lot of mints these days, they're going more towards wallet based than token based. Kind of like making our whitelist token marketplace a little obsolete. How are you guys kind of combating that? Is that with the raffles basically? Because I know FoxyDAO is he full time Foxy, and then I know you're thinking about going full time Foxy. I just want to make sure you guys are good in the long run.
Oh yeah. That's a great question. So yeah, I'll start off by saying Foxy Dev's been full time Foxy or full time Foxes for a while. I actually want to say since like late last year, he's been full time for us, which has been pretty great. I'm not thinking about I am going full time Foxes this coming Friday. I think the wallet gating for Mint, I don't think there's really any problem with it. I think ultimately, it's just a little bit of a transition into a different way that projects are doing things. Raffle was not created to combat that. As of right now, all the proceeds that are coming from Raffle are going to be going into our monthly raffles and auctions that we do for Foxes. So that's kind of how it stands right now. We're not taking anything from what we charge for it. That's just what we're doing with it, the proceeds as we see fit for right now. That could change in the future, but as it stands right now, that's what we're really looking at. Our ultimate goal with it really is to burn Foxy and provide value back to holders. So we're doing that with showcasing raffles up top if you have a Fox staked or transdimensional Fox staked. And you also get a reduced fee for listing and raffle, and then depending on what the token that you're using that's being charged, if it's Foxy, we burn it. If it's not Foxy, we're trying to figure out whatever makes the most sense as far as converting that to Soul, and then ultimately using that to add a little fuel to the fire, if you will, for our raffles and auctions that we're doing for Foxes. So, and I think Dev had mentioned too about gating our raffles to Foxes, but that's not an executive decision yet, and that'll be something most likely we'll put it out to a vote, if anything. But yeah, as of right now, I mean, we're fine. I think my personal opinion, the wallet gating mints for certain things, I know it creates a little bit of a headache for people that might not be super interested in minting, or if they want to sell like their wallets. I think that becomes just a bad idea. You can't promise it, and they're also doing like whitelist purges, and I don't know. It's a tricky meta that people are kind of converting to. We'll kind of see. I think there's still value in doing token mints currently, but we're innovative. We're definitely watching the space and kind of seeing trends. And honestly, like this week's been fairly steady from a token market standpoint. So personally, from our side, haven't really seen much of an impact with regard to like volumes and such. So not particularly worried about it at this instance. But if anything changes in the future, like we'll definitely look at ways we can streamline processes and such and kind of combat it in any way if needed.
All right. Oh, that's cool. No, because my main concern is just to make sure you and Foxy Dev, can provide for yourselves and your family.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's a lot of us OG Fox's main concern at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
no, no, I certainly appreciate it, and it goes without say too that our interests are aligned in helping Fox at the same time. Like when it comes down to royalties and such that come into the project, half of that goes back towards Foxes and everything else. So we definitely we're definitely fine for now. There's honestly like nothing from our side that is even worrisome in any regard. So appreciate you looking out for us, but yeah, we're as it stands right now, we're gonna be all right.
All right. Well, and then one other question. So, what's the
Sure.
first big purchase when you quit? All right. What are we getting?
First big purchase when I quit. It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
What's the first big bill that I want to get rid of? That's how you're able to
No,
quit. Is you minimize your expenses, you maximize
no,
your
no, 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 no.
investments.
What's your congratulations? I'm done kind of gift. That you went full time.
me rejecting a ridiculous offer that my job tried to give me to be a consultant for them. that's my my fuck you gift, if you will. Because they legitimately tried to offer me a consultant position at a ridiculous rate, and I'm declining it. I'll counter it with a stupid number, and they're going to be forced to say no. Yeah, ridiculously low rate. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you
Yeah.
meant ridiculously high rate, not low.
No. If they give me a ridiculously high rate for a low number of hours, like I'd be dumb not to take that. But I'll have to think about it. I don't really have a purchase in mind as of yet, but I'll certainly let you know. Maybe it'll be a house in Florida or something. That's where we're interested in looking for. We'll see when we get
Oh,
there.
moving to Florida.
Yeah,
Getting. I'm guessing you're somewhere colder right now.
I am somewhere colder. Not terribly far outside of
Okay.
Philly.
Oh, okay. Damn, I should have hit you up. I was there not too long ago.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's ever in the area, if there's if there's folks or some time that we can kind of get something together, as long as I'm not too busy. And the good thing is, after this coming Friday, I'll at least have more availability to plan things. But yeah, anyone out in this area, I'll say anyone going to NFT NYC, I did put in our Foxy meetup or Fox Meets Up section within the DAO. If anyone is going, just to react to that post. I'm still working on trying to coordinate like a Fox meetup or a joint Fox meetup with, I believe, Monkey DAO, and there might be a third in there possibly. And then as it stands right now, I think, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but Magic Eden should have some kind of a setup going on, and I'm working on linking up with them to give out some of our swags. We got like some swag bags set up, and if not, like I'll just be handing them out myself. So if you see me, my wife, most likely Frank, and his significant other, Frank Fox Frank, not Frank D God's Frank. Clarification, but yeah, we'll be handing out swag bags at NFT NYC. So definitely be sure to reach out and hit us up. All right, I got CSIP here. Let's add you too. Why not? I haven't gotten through all my announcements yet, but I don't mind chatting in between. How's it going there, Sir Lax-a-Lot?
Hey, General. How you been?
Good. How about yourself?
Good, man. I wanted to join just because I was being a degenerate last night and using the raffle platform. It was pretty cool. It's like kind of crazy, just the user experience, the UI, like how quickly you threw it together. And I mean, all the different utility tokens, I definitely see like a lot of value in that. And, I don't know. I just think it's really cool that you're building utility. I go to the token website, I can swap for dust or, whatever token I need and go back to the raffle. But yeah, just wanted to say like it was a really cool experience. And I think some of the proceeds, from those raffles should be, not just for Foxy auctions and Foxy raffles. Like I do think like, you've proven you can build stuff. Like let's keep investing in the project and like let's get devs some other junior devs and keep it rolling.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Sir Lax-a-Lot. That is kind of part of the proposal too that we have right now for like Foxy tools. So I don't know, we might kind of blend raffle into that same category. So let me just jump in there real quick for our current votes. So if you look the way we worded vote two, for vote two, options, let's see here, options D, E, F, and G is a joke, but D, E, and F, the 50% split, like those 50% of funds go towards like branding efforts, salaries, etc., for us to be able to hire on additional Foxy Dev juniors and all that fun shit. So so I think if one of those wins, my suspicion is it might be like either D or F. We can't see the numbers themselves, but it's just my general guess based off of what I've been seeing from people. If that's the case, that wins. I mean, we might look at blending raffle into Foxy tools at the same time with that outcome. So
yeah. I mean, I definitely was voting for like 50% or more, to kind of put the DAO funds towards like continuing to build out just the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, and I mean. Whether it's raffle or like I hope everybody in the DAO realizes like the impact that change can have, right? Like I do think it's a big vote, and if the services do flip to Sol, I do think like you'll see increased interest, right? Even it's not tedious to swap a token, but like some of these like features are just really convenient, right? Like you were saying with like the NFT send, like the Foxy send, and like some of them, like I've used them, and it's just like you save so much time, like crypto, there's so much time wasted on failed transactions and all this like, bad user experience stuff. Like you guys making it easy, I think, it's just invaluable for kind of NFTs and the space. So just wanted to kind of say it's definitely an important change, and like, I think we should just keep investing in like what you guys are building.
No, I certainly appreciate that, and definitely good insight. I couldn't agree with you anymore, or at least from like the general ecosystem side and the tools that we've created. I mean, there are other projects out there that might have, one or so of like the features that we have, but from the general utility side, the way that we price it, I mean, it's really gauged towards the larger good of Solana. And it's interesting too, because like we've gotten flack from some people, with like Foxy Swap, where it's like, okay, if you have Sol on just one side of a swap and an NFT on the other, that that project should get royalties, or if like it's just Sol on one side, there should be a level of royalties that gets paid out to the other to the project itself and all that kind of stuff. And I think it just comes down to like the reasoning that we're creating these tools and expanding on like that, and just saying like, you know if we put royalties on a thing, if we add these fees where it makes it, clunky to the point that people aren't going to want to use the tools, they're just going to, you know, go to the problem that was the origination as to why we created the tool, and they're going to try these OTC swaps and trying to find middlemen and getting scammed and all this other kind of stuff. So like that's why we want, the focus for our tools to be like the greater good of all of Solana. And
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like, it's in this space, like, there's plenty of opportunity, innovation, and like, a better mousetrap. So I think you have to build it, so that you're making it financially viable.
Yep.
And like you're adding, value. And I mean, a lot of the like things like swap are just, really undervalued for the service they provide, right? You see some of the swaps and like they're like
Massive.
really big swaps. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's worth a lot, right? Like, I do think kind of repricing some of the stuff, whether it's in Foxy or Sol, like, I do think, can drive a lot of just funds back to the DAO and, just keep investing and keep building. But
yeah,
just wanted to give my perspective there because, yeah, using these tools, it's awesome. And I love like how quickly you guys are scaling and adapting.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that's one of the benefits that we have as Foxes with our team is that, I mean, we're fairly lean compared to others, and we do get insight from our DAO, because I think that's also important to make sure that voices are heard. But we're able to be agile in the space, and I think that gives us a huge advantage compared to some others. And, just based on the skill set that we have, I mean, it definitely proves ourselves as being, the best, if not one of the best in the space in order to adapt. And, one of my all-time favorite sayings that, I use more so outside of crypto than I do inside of crypto. But realistically, in any industry you're involved in, it's like adapt or die. And so we're very good at adapting. So I think that just gives us a huge advantage to exist in the space and to create the fun shit we've created and provide, the value that we've provided so far. And realistically, we're what, 7.5 months deep, and we've already created so much shit, and so many people are replicating us, and marketplaces are starting to implement some of the features that we have in their own capacity if they're able to. And then the next point that I have in here, but our Chrome extension that we have, just kind of adds another level of value, for being able to like easily utilize our tools, within Magic Eden, again, just to make life easier. And that's really what it comes down to from the majority of our tools, is just to improve the quality of life in Solana. So I appreciate that insight.
Yeah, good stuff. Just wanted to, chime in there because been a little bit quieter, but just using some of these tools, it's pretty impressive. Like, I definitely think that that's the right focus, right? And yeah, some of these other just integrations that you're doing between the token market and raffle system and some of the stuff you have in the roadmap, I think, yeah, I mean, it's just really good technology and it works smoothly compared to, a lot of other stuff used in the space.
No, I appreciate that, and yeah, I mean, we we love building. I think that's, you know, if all of our stuff that we've created so far has improved that, you know, it's just really fun to be in the space from like a problem solving edge, you know, from a lot of the tools that we have, and also, you know, what folks are interested in the space if we're able to create it, that we will. So just, you know, want to shout that out too. So for anyone that is interested, if there are any pain points that you've realized recently or see, just be sure to, you know, reach out to us, let us know. I mean, we'll send out, you know, Discord things too, just to kind of capture some of that information. But obviously, we have a lot still on our plate for Roadmap 2.0. So always down to get some feedback from the community. But I'm gonna keep rolling on here with our general announcements. So I appreciate you guys coming up here. I'll still keep you up here to relax a lot if you want to just chill. Um, but yeah, I mentioned our Chrome extension. There's some updates to it, so you can see the mission stats for Foxes. You can see the fame level, progress for next fame level, missions completed, and current mission for the Fox/Den if it's eligible. So for anyone that does utilize that Chrome extension, that could be helpful if you're looking to buy a Fox and you want to try and see, you know, if any Fox that's listed might have more of a benefit compared to another off their stats. So just worth mentioning for anyone that is interested or it has been using our Chrome extension. Also, give us some feedback on that. You know, for anyone that is using it, I know that we've been getting more and more users daily, and would love to kind of hear back from folks that are using it. If there's anything we can kind of tweak, if there's any just general feedback, always open to it. So yeah, just want to kind of throw that out there. Let's see here. Oh, one thing I almost forgot that I just don't want to, just because it's amazing. Our fame upgrades. So Zeno's been working very hard at getting some of these upgrades, and they are amazing, like absolutely amazing. So we put out a I don't know, did we put out a few? How many did we put out? We put out a couple. We're only going to put out like so many of them. We also want folks to kind of like work up and unlock others. I don't think it makes sense for us to reveal all these upgrades to everyone at once. But he's doing such fantastic work with it. So that the main goal for us is to get the first tier upgrade for all of the attributes that we have. It's going to be for both the clothing items as well as the headgears. And then once we have the first set, then we're going to roll out the information as far as like what the level gate is, how much Foxy is required to unlock, and just kind of give people like some goals to like get up to. And we are going to have a mechanic too for you to buy fame with Foxy, so that way it kind of helps with us burning Foxy on top of it. But then you'll also be required to spend Foxy to actually do that attribute upgrade. And so we just wanted to put out a couple of teasers. First one is with the Supreme shirt upgrade. So the first one is like a Supreme jacket, if you will, that has some of their like font on it. That's been kind of fun, based off of a different way that Supreme also has their clothing line. And then the second one is a Team Rocket Fox. So for anyone that's a pocket monster, you can upgrade to Team Rocket if you are so inclined to do so. Pretty dope job, not gonna lie, and he's been quite awesome to work with. So huge shout out to Zeno here. And I think that's it for the most part from our announcements. I mean, there's a couple other things in here that just rehash some of the other items, but yeah, I mean that covers most of the items that we have really done over the past week. It's been a lot. We've done a lot over this last week, and you know, May is kind of just a big month for us to try and push out as much of the items that we can that we have for Roadmap 2.0, and just to kind of continue on, you know, providing as much value as possible as we can, essentially to the space, but also to Foxes. So outside of that, I mean, obviously the market has been a complete nightmare for some people. This week, I know with the UST and Luna issues going on, hopefully, for the most part, folks are doing all right in the space. Just as a reminder, we do have like a mental health kind of check-in, if you will, in our DAO section. So if anybody does, want to vent, or if you need someone to talk to, always feel free to at least ping me via DMs. It could be Twitter, it could be Discord, whatever you prefer. If you're interested and you want to post in mental health channel, definitely suggest throwing it in there as well. I know a lot of people really got screwed this week, so just as a general awareness, just to check in and make sure that folks are doing all right in the space. I think fortunately, our launching of raffle is kind of at a good time, especially for folks that are invested in other projects. You're getting different SPL tokens on top of just Foxy, so it just provides some additional value for folks to be able to utilize those tools in a more fun way, while still giving you a chance at potentially, winning an NFT, something that could be of significant value, or something that you're just interested in purchasing. I did think it was funny. I think one of the first raffles that got posted was someone trying to basically sell their NFT for like 9,999 Foxy, for just one ticket, and so we've changed it, so now it's a minimum requirement of 50 tickets for a raffle. So that way someone doesn't try to like game the system again like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, what a crazy week. And from the Fox angle, we're going strong. We don't really have any hiccups in our side. It's just building every day that we can, interacting with y'all, and trying to provide as much value as we can to the space, and just have fun as best as we can with different things. I know it can be challenging at sometimes, but we're definitely interested in trying to find some more ways of like being engaging. So I think one of the bigger pieces that we have set up for our roadmap 2.0 is our hypometer. I think that's going to be a pretty big deal once we get a better structure to it and start pushing that out. As I know some folks are definitely going to be interested in helping out with those, I'll call them initiatives, if you will, but basically just a way of kind of having a social engagement, trickle in and add to a, I don't know, a social pot, if you will. And once we hit certain milestones, then we'll do specific kinds of events such as giveaways, or something, a little bit more worth worth your while, if you will, for just the efforts that we get from our community. So I certainly appreciate it, and definitely appreciate our community and the helpfulness and the creativity side and all the skill sets that everyone brings. I think it's really massive for the space, and definitely helpful from us from a community standpoint too. So I will always kind of advocate, if you're interested in trying to help out with something here or there, just let us know. I think one of the areas that I know we're okay in for right now that people do ask us about is the whitelist seekers. So far, they've been going fairly strong. I know Alkine was in here. I think he still is in here somewhere. But I think that's pretty good. But if there's really any other things you might be interested in kind of getting involved with, definitely reach out, and we'll kind of see, if there's something we can get you into, and if not, maybe kind of get you on, I'll call it like a wait list, but that's probably not the right way of phrasing it, to get you involved in one way or another. But it's about all I had from announcements. Let me double check in here. Great point. Gwei sent me a reminder. So one of the other, I'll call like a promotional item, if you will, but not necessarily like really a promotional item, is for an anime artist by the name of Terumi Nishi. And I'm probably butchering that, so I'll apologize. But they are going to be an artist, or they are an actual anime artist, and they're working on a 36 NFT series of one-for-one pieces that will be launched on Magic Eden. And they've reached out to us to basically see, or actually like a rep from them, if you will, reach out to us to see if we'd be interested in basically auctioning off or raffling off someone getting their Fox done in this art style. And so I created a raffle. It does have my Fox in their style on it. So just to give you an idea of what that would look like from a final piece standpoint. Now, again, this is translated for my general Fox that we have, and they kind of added a little sword to it, if you will. But it is for raffle on our raffle site. I think the tickets are 200 Foxy a piece. I believe we've sold about 800 of them, pretty close to 800 of them. And there's no like main goal as far as a general Foxy capture on it. I believe there's still about 4 days or so left on it. Just want to kind of throw that out there in our spaces just to kind of promote them. The project itself is called Zero X Irizumi. Again, butchering names on there, but just wanted to give them a shout out. Feel free to go kind of check it out if you're interested. They're basically the winner of that raffle. Like, you'll get that NFT sent to you. It was one that I just made on Foxy Mint. You just send it back to me, and I'll provide your information to them, and they'll create, a one-on-one Fox of your Fox in their art style. So it's not part of our FFF collection. It's just a one-of-one piece that they're creating for just general awareness or just art for you to have from their side. So just want to throw that out there. It's done as a raffle if anyone's interested. Getting probably about 4 more days or so left on it, and all the Foxy that's created from it or generated from it is just going to be burnt. So just as a general awareness for that. That's a lot of talking. Let's see here. I think someone might have asked me a question. Jumping into Fox Chat. Let's see here. For the raffles, the DAO gets 5%, 2.5% holders. Is that us getting that project's currency and then swapping it? Yeah, good question, Tiv. When you asked this a while back, but I might have mentioned it a little bit beforehand. We're working on trying to figure out the better way of handling those. As it stands, we've been periodically converting their currency back to Sol. And then our goal is to use that Sol for raffles and auctions and such. The USDC part is an interesting question. Me and Dev have kind of gone back and forth with the idea of converting some of our DAO treasury funds into USDC just to kind of be a hedge against volatility in the space. So we haven't landed on an actual decision for that yet, but that is something that we're thinking about doing just to make sure that our funds are relatively safe in the space for us to continue on our efforts. So good question there. Let me see here. Yeah, if there are any questions that anyone has, feel free to Brink, you're ridiculous. Feel free to send some questions in via Fox Chat. Definitely tag me. Got a question from Newt. When will the holder benefit? Just kidding. Any updates on music marketplace launches? Yeah. Is it going to be Fox branded? So the branding on the music marketplace is going to be branded to Boombox. I believe we actually had sent out. Let me see the date on it in announcements. An older teaser. It's not old. It's still relatively current. Let me just scroll back here. I thought it was fairly recent. Yeah. Let's see. This is from the 24th. The 24th of April. That's the branding side, if you will, for Boombox. It's branded to their style. They're the ones that have the branding edge for it. We are still working on the Fox benefit for using that tool. So we'll give more information when it does get closer to launch. But we are planning to launch it by the end of this month. So we don't have much time to get that done, and we'll give you updates as it gets closer to launch date for it. But it will be branded as Boombox for them. We're just helping them basically kind of build that out. I'm not sure if it's a question for me, Alexa, but I don't mind answering it. So, how do you cope in this uncertain market? I guess what do you do in your free time to distract yourselves from the madness in the markets? I think it just depends on what your hobbies are. I fortunately have a 10-month-old, so she keeps me busy outside of foxes and staring at charts and getting rugged by my normie job. On top of that, I mean, there's general housework and such, if you will. Not that everyone enjoys cleaning, but that can be a decompression side. Reading books, I think self help is definitely a big thing. Improving, your skill sets and such. Even if the markets are, in shambles, you can always work on increasing, your income and honestly buying into the market when it is in shambles, because that can be more of a benefit for you in the longer term. Going out for walks is a solid one, depending on where you live at. Highly suggest that. We're also in an area where people go out for like kayaking and kind of just enjoy like river life. So just kind of like tuning out and doing all that kind of fun stuff. If you're into meditating can be quite helpful. We kind of do that like about once a day, primarily before bed. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different fun shit out there to do. Games, if you're a gamer, I know we have a Gamer Fox tag. You can jump into that by going into the channel of join any teams if you're interested in starting up, game leagues or whatever. I mean, I'm more than happy to let people kind of run their own games if you play console, PC, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of ways to distract you in a shitty market, if you will, or just go on raffles every day, stack your Foxy, and try and win some NFTs on there. It's a funny graphic, but it's a great question. Let's see. I think that's all I got for questions in here. I don't know if anyone's sending me stuff in alpha. Alpha usually gets destroyed, so good luck that. Andre Lasol spent almost 30K in Foxy and raffles. That's funny. But yeah, that's about all I got. I certainly appreciate everyone coming out here. I don't know if there are any other questions from folks in chat here. We got a pretty solid group, 34 plus. Certainly appreciate everyone coming out and listening. Like I mentioned early on, at least, this is being recorded. So if you missed the beginning and you want to go back and listen to it, feel free to do that. I'll also get it posted to YouTube. My plan is to get it done sooner rather than later. And I know I mentioned it earlier on in the call, but I just finished up getting the past 3 weeks posted up on YouTube earlier today. And yeah, so feel free to check those out as they are now up on YouTube. Six asking a question: do you have any raffles rigged to make you win? See, Sick, I would, but but as of lately, I actually haven't participated in any raffles yet. I know that sounds sad, but just with a lot of other shit going on, I haven't had time to throw my Foxy at some raffles. So even if I rigged it for myself to win, I wouldn't have won any yet because I haven't bought any tickets. But no, our raffles are 100% fair. That's the good part about it, is it's all on chain. So everything that's in there is all done via our raffle site, and yeah, there's no gaming on it. We have all the results that get posted as well, so you can poke through and kind of see all the actual raffles that are completed, who the winners were, all that fun stuff is definitely worthwhile poking through and checking them out. There's a toggle button for it if you're in raffles on I'll say on web. Let me jump in here. Yeah, there's a past raffles button. It is underneath featured on the left hand side, so you can go through and just see what ones have completed, who the winner was, see all that fun stuff in there. So it's a pretty awesome site, if I'm being honest. I mean, obviously biased, but I think it's pretty solid, and people have been having a lot of fun with it, which is really fun to see from our side, just because I think it's quite fun. But yeah, I think that's a good enough spot. Coming up on an hour here. I'll open it up to Brink. I know, Brink, you've been awfully quiet. I don't know if you have any parting words. Narwhal requested too. I'll bring Narwhal up.
No.
Do you have like any like bids for someone to accept something from you, or do you want to trade somebody for something?
Do I have any bids?
Yeah, like wasn't someone bidding on one of your listings and they were bidding too low in a previous week?
No, I'm so lost. You got the wrong guy. There's an imposter running around.
Maybe that's it. Well, thanks for that insight, Brink.
But Narwhal, yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'm a man of deep, consistent thoughts. So
that's why we love you. But yeah, Narwhal, we got you up here. What's going on?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, cool. What's up? How's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just hanging at the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the new raffle feature. It's my favorite thing you guys have put out. By far.
Well, good. I'm glad. I know. I mean, obviously, with the number of tokens that we've gotten interest in other communities getting added in there, it certainly seems like it's a want from a lot of folks in the space. So, certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I've been on like so many transdimensional foxes. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's been quite fun watching the foxes, both transdimensional and famous foxes, go up on there. Definitely interesting to kind of see how those play out.
Yeah, you can be a real degen with the raffle stuff. It's quite fun.
And the cool part too, I mean, for right now, it doesn't have Solana involved in it. So I mean, it depends, I guess. Of course, as you mentioned, Sir Lax a lot, that you can go and buy, SPL tokens. But if you own whatever projects are on there that we're using SPL tokens for, you can just use those SPL tokens, which is quite fun. But no, that sounds good, Narwhal. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks. I just, I also wanted to, say how amazing the community here is. I had a really bad day yesterday. I reached out to Scooby. I shot him a DM, and he cheered me up, and he made my day way better. So I just want to give a shout out to Scooby. Really good guy.
Yeah, shout out to Scooby. Scooby's fantastic. I'll second your comments in general. Yeah, I'll second your comment in general. Yeah, our community is amazing. Honestly, I'll say the best in Solana, based off of me poking in and being in part of other communities and Discords and stuff. I know in the past I've said like one of the best, but I'm certain that our community is the best in the space, based off of feedback I hear from other project owners and just people in general that just reach out to me that are like genuinely interested in like just trying to collaborate with us on like any level, regardless of what their status is. Just really speaks to our community. So I really appreciate that, and really appreciate our community being there for each other. That's what it's all about with us. It's like a rising tide raises all ships, and I'll stand behind that comment. Until until the end of blockchain, which hopefully is in 5,000 years, and that's never something that I have to worry about. So, shout out to Scooby.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course. Thanks for coming up. I really appreciate it. But I'll throw it out there. I mean, since Brink didn't have any final remarks, I don't know, Sir Lax a lot, if you had any final remarks you'd like to throw out to our spaces before we wrap up.
No, I mean, definitely tough in the macro environments, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a community like this, and I think NFTs will be fun during the bear market. But yeah, it's tough times, but just keep building and keep spirit, and I think we'll make it.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Keep spirit. I mean, honestly, that's been a long thing for us as Foxes, and I think now more than ever, definitely needed. So definitely appreciate you throwing that out there for us. And yeah, it's like you said. I mean, I personally see, the value in staking NFTs and SPL tokens that are being generated in order for you to kind of do different things within the ecosystem being quite useful, in a bear market, is it kind of provides a level of like hedge, if you will, against the volatility, because you can always rely on, that token being there, for whatever project it is, especially for Foxes. So, it has the current time has a very similar feel as it did for myself personally, like December of last year. And honestly, it's just good to have our community and good to have, honestly, like NFTs and like fun shit that we can do around it. So definitely going to keep building. Never going to stop that for sure. And providing value as best as we can to our community and matching our roadmap 2.0, growing from there, roadmap 3.0, roadmap 5,000.0. Looking forward to really what we kind of can create in the space and keep creating in the space for the rest of the Solana ecosystem. So appreciate the insights from folks. Appreciate you guys coming up and everyone else coming out here to hang out with us. Still have a solid 30 people hanging, and I guess I'll call it there for the weekly VC. If there is anything that does pop up that folks have as a question, comment, suggestion, whatever, DM me, ping me in chat, whatever you want to do. I know Dev gets ticked off when people ping in. I'm different, even though it does. If you do the exclamation point in general, it comes up as I'm Foxy Dev Zalt. Obviously, we're two different people, but we're definitely a tight-knit group, and my door is always open. So if anyone's ever interested in chatting, you want to jump on a call, what have you, if I have the availability for it, I'll make time. But huge shout out to our community. And again, this is recorded, so this will go out shortly. I'll try and get this up to YouTube by Monday sometime. And we'll have a decent announcement go out tomorrow. And I'll talk with you guys in Discord. So have a good rest of your night and a great weekend. And we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Later.